Okay, may I ask your attention, please? We are going to start the demonstration session, which is going to be performed by John, Stava, and Gabrielle, Hansen, Nygård.
Yes.
They come from the Faculty of Technology at the Sør-Trøndelag University College in Norway, in Trondheim, and their research and their practice is focused on what they call the small screens for education instead on the big screens. So, and this project is focused in all educational levels. So please go on with your presentation. We've got almost 50 minutes for presentation. So let's see how happens. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation. We got it very late, but we managed to be here in less than 1 week.
Thanks for coming and being so responsive to the sudden invitation.
Yes.
Almost 1 week less prior to the event.
Yes. Yes. So today we're going to talk about something which we do in a European project. This is the second project, but this is the first one. And we actually tried to how in the future are going. Thank you. Do you hear me? Okay, let's start once more. Today we are going to talk about I and some of my colleagues are doing in some European project, and this is the first one. And where we focus on what we believe will be the way we are going to use mobile phones in the future. So the devices we will give you, you will get some iPods soon, and then we are going to run a live demo, and let's see what happens. This project is basically based upon vocational training in industry. But it turns out now, towards the end of the project, it's the EduMeca project, it closes at the end of this year, that a range of disciplines are going to use this technology. In many countries, right now it is 10 countries in Europe and also US, which have started to look into this. So, Gabrielle, should we start? Where is Trondheim?
Yep.
Let's
start at the beginning. Where are we from? We thought that you knew where Norway was, but it could be nice to see.
Close to the North Pole. This is a simple starting point. So we have designed now a software where we want to enhance learning, and in particular interactivity during session. And the framework is a lessons from, let's say, 1 hour to 2 hours. We want to have system solutions which are very time efficient. Meaning that the story which I tells you, Gabrielle tells you, which Mette told you previously, it should not be destroyed. That means we are going to use very simple technology, which is very fast to use. What is this, a student response system, Gabrielle?
Yeah, to begin at to start at the beginning. What is a student response system? Because that is what we have developed and what we will demonstrate for you today. Very simply put, it is technology projects designed to support response, communication, and interaction. In many ways, it's one answer to one of the biggest challenges that we see in teaching today, which is lack of response, lack of communication, and lack of interaction. Now, teaching today, especially in higher education, it is not small classes of 10 to 20 students anymore. It is not normal to teach in front of 50, 100, 500 students. So it becomes challenging for a teacher to get response from the students. I've been teaching myself for a class for 400 students. I was talking, and then I wanted feedback from the students. Are you following me? Do you understand a single word I'm saying? And you have, 4 students in the front. Yes, we do. And you have like the rest of the students. And you as a teacher have no idea whether or not the students are following you. And the next consequence is that the communication is a one-way communication. It goes from the teacher to the students, not the other way back again. So the interaction is lacking. In traditional ordinary teaching, the active part is the teacher. Like I'm doing now, I'm the one who's doing the talking and you're listening. In higher education especially, the student's part is to take notes and try to listen as carefully as possible. The students aren't actively involved. They don't participate in a good way. So research shows very clearly that active learning is lacking in higher education today. So it's in light of these challenges that student response system can come in as one of the answer, not the answer. We didn't we're not that good, but maybe one answer. So to show you simply how it works, the student response system is a technology that allows the teacher to ask a question. In a quiz, you teach as normal, and then after maybe 30 minutes, you're wondering whether or not the students understood anything, so you give them a question based on what you've been talking about. It is also a technology that allows the students to answer anonymously. And in our case, they answer with a mobile unit, with an iPod. So they don't have to raise their hand and answer, they can just use a mobile device. And the results are instantly summarized and aggregated, so you get a result immediately. So very quickly said, that is student response system. It's about response for the teacher and response for the students. The teacher, like I said, I've now been talking for a while, wondering whether or not the students are following you. He can do a quiz, and then you see, you don't get response from 1 or 2 students, you get the response from every student, because it is anonymously. And the teacher, now the students who has now been sitting listening to you for 30 minutes, many of them are probably wondering, do I understand anything? Now they actually get a feedback, okay? Something I actually understood. So in a nutshell, that is student response system.
Exactly. And you wanted to have the title iPod on iPhone, but this system is a bit wider. It works on a PC, it works on a laptop, it works on pads, it works on a range of mobile phones also, because it is web-based. So basically, most devices which could read a HTML page, then it will work. And now we're going to show you how we use this in Norway and 8, 9 other European countries now for the moment. That is at the testing level yet. And what we will show you now, that was a prototype back from May or something like that. We will have the final version in October or November, I think.
Because we have been testing the system since last September. That was when we started.
Yeah, the first prototype was running 1 year ago, and we have been extensively testing with a range of students in many countries. So in Norway, first year, around 600 students. In Hungary, we have 200 students using it in different levels. And it is based upon the feedback from the students and the teacher that we have ended up with this system solution.
That is a very important point, because we got our first version, we got it out in the classes, and we started talking with the students immediately. How do you think this should work? So the students actually helped us design the system that we're going to show to you today. But we have a video, which is from the first testing we did in Trondheim. Because instead of us standing here telling you what the students think about it, you can see it for yourself, because we actually interview some of the students.
1 moment, Gabrielle.
Yes.
We will show you a video, then we will take some basic about how to use an iPod, and then you will get an iPod. I don't think
you will borrow an iPod.
You will borrow an iPod, and then we are going to use it. So that is the schedule. Video, some basic training, and then we run.
Yep, that's an important point. Borrow. Don't forget. Let me see.
Det blir en sånn annen ting du gjør. Du ser teksten ikke bare og følger med på tavla, men du er med på, altså, det er en helt annen måte for undervisning, så ja, det er litt artig å komme til forelesning, faktisk.
For me as a teacher, the student response system gives me immediate feedback about whether the students actually follow the lecture, if they understand what I'm saying. We have a very time-efficient and easily manageable way to interact with the students.
Jeg synes det fungerer veldig bra, fordi alle sammen deltar i undervisningen og blir nødt til å svare på spørsmål. Gjerne når læreren spør, så er det bare en person som svarer, og da har du godt over halvparten av klassen som sitter og nesten sover i timen.
You ask a conceptual question in a quiz, then you do a voting session, And then afterwards, the teacher will explain what the correct answer is and why this is the correct answer. And then you can also highlight the incorrect answers and explain thoroughly why those are the wrong answers.
Det at vi får vite av læreren at hva som riktig og gærent etterpå, og at jeg forklarer det, noe du nettopp har tenkt gjennom selv, det jo veldig viktig. For på en øving for eksempel, så var det tilbakemelding en uke etterpå, og da har du gjerne glemt hvorfor du tenkte på den måten du tenkte. Så det her jo kjempenyttig.
Another benefit of the student response system is that it allows the students to interact with each other. They will discuss between themselves before we do the actual vote. And this greatly enhances their learning, because the real test of whether you have actually understood something is whether you can explain to others why the answer is correct.
Du får utveksle ideer, og du skjønner hva andre folk tenker, og du kan spinne videre på det, og tenke videre på det selv, så du låser ikke fast i din egen tankegang.
Altså, jeg lærer ganske mye av det, for du får diskutere med andre, og du liksom tenker, du går gjennom det som du har lært i forelesningen, og så tenker du, ja, forskerne, det handler om, ja, sånn var det da. Og så, for utenom det, så snakker ikke vi med hverandre, vi diskuterer ikke på den måten som vi har gjort nå. Så det funker ganske bra.
Det blir jo mye mer engasjement når man alle sammen må svare, og alle sammen må tenke gjennom spørsmålet. Så det veldig stor grad.
I should have warned you at the beginning. I apologize for the horrible music. Our colleague did that, and he won't change it. So, I'm sorry about that one.
So that was some examples from students, and this is experiences we get from students in Norway. We get it from other countries too. So let's take a summary before we start on the training.
Yes. Let's just have to.
So key factors when you are going to use a response system.
Yes. I think it's very important to say that our starting point has always been traditional teaching. Our goal has never been to completely change the way teachers teach. So we have been using it in Trondheim, and the course has been physics. And the teacher do what they normally do, which in Norway is to stand in front of the blackboard and talk. I don't know how they do it in other countries. And it was important to not change that completely. So the teacher starts as normal, he stands there and talks. But after a while, he stops the talking, he shushes, and he shows the students a question based on what they've been trying to tell them. And then the students either work with the question alone, or they work with the question in groups. And as you can see from the video, they like to work together in groups so that they can learn from one another. But they don't sit there for hours. We give them 3 minutes maybe. Okay, talk with the guy next to you and try to solve this problem. And then we do the voting. And after the voting, where they answer with the iPods, you get the results up. So the teachers see, okay, did the students actually get this? Do I have to repeat what I've been trying to tell them, or can I just move on? And but here you have it. If you paid attention in the movie, this last point is important, because when you have got the results up, then what do you do as a teacher? Okay, you see that 60% had it correct, 40% missed. What do you do? Based on our feedback from the students, they demand a thorough explanation from the teacher. Why is the correct answer correct? And most important, why are the incorrect answers incorrect? And I cannot stress this enough. I remember one of the students I've interviewed, and I've interviewed plenty, he said that if the teacher don't do a good job and explain to us why things are correct or incorrect, he can just take the system and go home. It's worthless, because that's where the learning is. It's one thing to see whether or not you voted correct. It's another thing to understand why you actually voted correct or incorrect. But this entire session, from you present the question until you give them a closure, it can take hours. It can also take 5 minutes. And in Norway, 1 lecture hour is 45 minutes. We never have more than 1 to 2 quizzes per hour. Again, the point is not to change completely the way you teach, but to just take 5 minutes where something else happens, where the teacher aren't standing there talking and talking and talking, and the students, their heads are about to explode. You take 5 minutes where the teacher is quiet and where the students can work with this alone, and afterwards get a feedback on the job that they've done. So that's one of the methods that we've been using when we have been using it in class.
One more comment also, Gabrielle.
Yeah?
A lot of you, I suppose, will be teachers, and a lot of you are actually good teachers. But if you measure this, if you go to a class and measure it, then the students will tell you that each of you are teaching on your own way. So when we design such a system, it must work for individual teacher, which can use it in a very flexible way. It means some of our colleagues now, they're using it, and some of them, they actually start teaching by giving a question. They could check, what did you actually learn last time?
Are you awake?
From last lesson.
Yeah. Because,
So.
yeah. But that's an important point, because you can check facts or you can just use it to get their attention. If it's 7 o'clock in the morning, you're barely awake yourself as a teacher. You can just do a quiz. Okay, are you awake? Or you've been teaching for an hour, you want a break? So you can use it just to get their attention, to get them to wake up again. Because believe me, after you've been talking for 20 minutes, you start to lose the first students. Only 20 minutes. So that's normally when we have the first quiz, to wake them up and test their knowledge. And now we want to wake you up and test your knowledge. Now to the fun part. Now we have 30 iPods with us. That's all we could get together, because we use them in our classes all the time, and we can't take the iPods from the students. They will get very angry. But I have some practical information I want to walk you through. Not that I don't think that you can handle an iPod, but just to be on the safe side.
Yeah, such that everybody are at the same level.
Yes, exactly. Now we really start at the beginning. How do you turn it on? It is one round button on the entire iPod, so you can't really go wrong there. You press the round button and an arrow appears. You drag the arrow to the right. Then it is unlocked. We repeat. Press the only round button and drag to the right. It's open. And then we have fixed it so the page that you would automatically come to is this one. It says please wait, so please do so. Nothing will happen on the iPod. Don't start going somewhere else. Well, you could if you want to, but you can easily get lost. So just turn it on the iPod and get to the please wait page and just please wait. And nothing will happen before I physically start a vote, and I will tell you when I do that. I don't mean to be so strict, but we have done this a couple of times, and it's also often a very messy with the iPods.
At least if you have only half an hour.
Yes. And when the voting starts, the alternatives will come up on the iPod like this. If I have a question with 4 alternatives, that's what you will get. And you vote by physically pressing the alternative you mean is correct. Your vote is registered. It's quite easy to see. If you have voted B, you see that changes color, the background changes color, and you also get a message, thanks for your vote. AKA, you have voted. But the vote will be on time. You can't sit there and vote for hours. We don't have that long time. You will get about 30 seconds. And as long as the clock is running, you will see a clock. You can change your mind as many times as you want. So easy. Just turn it on. Get to the please wait. Wait. Don't touch after you. And it might be that the iPod falls asleep before I get to the question. Then you just wake it up by pressing the button again. So, now to the fun part. You will borrow an iPod.
So, what about if 2 and 2 persons work together?
Yes, so everybody gets an iPod. Good.
Yes, sir.
There you go. There you go. Here you go. Oh, you can get one if you want to. Okay, that's yeah.
It's all in Norwegian.
What?
The text is not in English, well, at least for some of the user interface stuff.
Yes, so...
So,
Okay.
then we have to cooperate a bit.
Yes.
Some of us, we have divided or distributed the 30 iPods.
Yep.
So now we are going to ask you some questions in order to get your attention, such that you don't fall asleep.
I'm gonna wake you up. But you start. Did you get the iPods on? Yes. Are you please waiting? A wonderful start.
So we have to show them, where is the response system, Gabrielle?
It's here. Oh. There.
So there's the response system. It is hidden on the right-hand side of the screen. Just press it and you are ready. And we have designed this for digital blackboards in the sense that we could stand on the blackboard and then use the fingers like this. But we got some problems with the drivers today, so we use the computer instead.
But in the teaching setting, in Norway, in Trondheim, we have this blackboard, so the teacher is standing just pressing the screen.
Yeah.
But let's do some voting, or at least show you some questions first. Now, we thought we would start very soft with an easy question, which everyone can answer. So we're wondering, who are you? What's your position? So we know who we're actually dealing with here. Are you A, a teacher or instructor? And I repeat, nothing will happen on your iPod yet. Are you B, a researcher? C, a student? D, technical? E, administrator? Or F, something else? We can't cover everybody, so if everybody knows who they are, then we can do a vote. And then I just get the response system here. I press run vote. I get the system up. Can move this around so we still see the alternatives. Come on. Right there. And here is A, B, C, D, F. So when I press play, the vote is starting. But before I can start the vote, do you have the please wait page up? Because you need that one in order to vote. Okay, let's cross our fingers and hope not to die. You can vote. Now? It's fallen asleep. There. If there is any problems, just let me know and I can pause it. You managed to vote? Good. No. Yeah. Oh, look at that. Let's see. Okay, there isn't any right or wrong here, obviously. We're just looking who you are. And now most of you are researchers. And teachers or instructors, well, that's good. Someone is something else. Could be fun to know what that is. But this question was just so you to get it in your hands how this works, and now we know who you are. John, do you have anything to comment, or should we move on to the next question?
No, this is a quite typical distribution. It's an example of a good question.
Yes.
What is a good question?
Hang on. Sorry, they were mutually exclusive, weren't they?
It's nobody which has answer which are technical.
No, but supposing I'm a teacher and a researcher.
Well, then you're in trouble.
Then you're in trouble, yes. No, yes, of course. As we mentioned earlier, it's up to the teacher. The real challenge here is to produce the good questions. But this is a very good example. This is how we want it to be. We want to have a distribution if you use this system. If you ask a question to a class where 90% select the correct alternative, it's a waste of time to use this. Then they know the solution. If you ask a question where 90% fail, It's also a waste of time because the question is too difficult. But we want to have a discussion, and then we want to have bars like this.
But to answer yours, the next version that comes in October, then you couldn't vote at both A and B.
Yes.
But on this
I need to have my own iPhone as well, because we were sharing one and we're different.
Yes,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
like
yeah.
yes.
Yeah,
You're sharing one,
so our students which has a modern mobile phone, they use their own phone.
Okay, now we know who you are. That is nice. Now, let's see. Why are you attending this conference? Are you here to build a network? Are you here to become inspired to learn more about interactive teaching methods? Are you here to learn more about mobile learning? Or are you here to learn about mobile technologies? Or did you just want to visit Barcelona?
We don't know. Let's see.
It could be interesting to know for the people who's yes, you like these questions. Okay, you get a couple of seconds to think, and then we can do a vote. Of course, if you had enough iPods, you will all had an iPod, but at least you get to see how it works. So let's do a vote. So now you have to wake up your iPod again and get the please wait page up. And I just prepare. I get out the system. I choose the alternatives. Are you ready to vote? Did you have a problem? Yes, you're ready to vote.
Yes.
Now, if anyone has a problem, just yell out because I can pause. So, why are you here? Let's find out.
Can you control that everybody has vote? I mean, everybody vote, or can you just do nothing and the system will just...
I can go.
You post it.
Okay, most of you are here because you wanted to, let's see the alternatives, learn about mobile learning. Well, that's good. And some of you actually just wanted to visit Barcelona. Well, you see, you get an opportunity to be honest. I doubt that you would have actually have dared to say that out loud. Some of you wanted to build a network, some of you wanted to be inspired, but I have to say, good answer. And if there were a correct answer here, this is what I as a teacher can do. I can just tab it, so the system itself doesn't know when you're asking the students a question what is correct or incorrect. You as a teacher control that afterwards.
It's a question here.
Yep.
Sorry, can you, they are anonymous by default, or can you actually identify the...
I can, now when you turn on the iPod, you came to the please wait, right? Normally the students have to enter a code. They have to enter that session code, and we can also have them enter their names if we want to. But so far we haven't seen a point by doing that, because we just want...
The system is prepared to identify persons,
You
but
might be able to
yes.
cross-reference their responses with other...
Yes,
data.
yep,
Yes.
you can do that, yes.
Their attendance or their achievements
Yep.
or...
But we have had a lot of evaluation, and the students are very focused that this should be anonymous.
That's why they participate, because
yes.
we can't see who they are.
Yes.
Well, we're off to a good start. I have to say I like that you're here to learn about mobile learning, because I think that's more important than the technology.
That is what we hoped. We
Yep.
expected such an answer.
So far you're doing a very good job.
So let's take the next one.
Yep. Tap the system away. Do-do-do-do. What have you learned most about during this conference? Have you learned most about training methods, new mobile devices and services, new technologies you don't think you can use in your own teaching, new technologies you think you can use in your own teaching, or don't you know you're just pretty much confused? You shall get a couple of seconds to think about that before we do a vote.
I think they must have more than 2 seconds.
Okay, you get 4.
Yeah, I think it's important not to be the system that it does not that it's not designed on just either or option.
Exactly, it have to be flexible. Yeah.
No, because the current contemporary thinking, I believe, more and more is with a big crossing point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree
The
with
system is designed for use by the teacher. It's a teacher which controls everything.
Are you ready to do a vote? Need more time to think? I should have asked that question with a response system, so I got a response. All right. What have you learned most? Training methods, mobile devices and services, things you can't use, things you can use, or are you not sure? A, B, C, D, E. And now it's time to wake up your iPods again. Get the please wait page up. And there we go. You could have used your own iPhone, yes. Oh, that's a wonderful distribution.
Yes.
In a teaching setting, that is what you want. Okay, let's see if we can put it so we can see the alternatives. Ja. Du må ta tag I den lyselinja opp før. Du må I den lyselinja. Der, ja. Men ikke ta den opp for langt opp. Nå får vi den ikke ned igjen. Enda lenger ned, enda lenger ned. Der, ja. All right. Most of you were here to learn new training methods. No, most of you have learned about new training methods. Well, that's positive. And I think that one is quite interesting. Most of you don't really know what you've learned. And it's good to see that learn new technologies I don't think I can use in my teaching. 4 of you are there.
Well, Gabrielle actually means that every 5th person in this audience doesn't know.
Yeah. And that's what makes it challenging. You know, like for me, when I'm standing here and I see these results, I get stunned. And that's what happens when you're teaching. It becomes quite challenging because I can't, I don't know in front what you're going to vote. So you just, wow. And then we have to build up a response after that. But I think this one is interesting. It have to be interesting for you as organizing the conference to see, yeah?
Yeah,
but
so every 5th person doesn't know why it is here. Every 5th person have learned about something they could use. Almost 1 out of 12–13%. They will learn about something that they can't use. They cannot use in training.
But I do like this one. Most of you have learned new training methods. And I think that was pretty much the goal of the conference too, so that's good. Well, wonderful. Let's move on.
So now we take a slightly different approach.
Yes. What are you feeling right now? Because that's the beauty. I can ask you factual questions and I can also try to find out your mood. What are you feeling right now? Are you in heaven? You're so thrilled. It's wonderful. Are you engaged? Are you calm? Are you stressed? Or are you, although it's not 12 o'clock yet, just want to go for a beer? Let's vote. I get out the response system, I pick the alternatives, and I bug you again about the please wait page, but I think you're starting to get it now. So we just press play. Now, when we use this in teaching, we have this clock sound and we have the countdown. Normally, we don't use 30 seconds. 20 is more than enough. But we thought, okay, we make sure that we get most of you to participate. Now, what do you feel? Oh, wow. Are you kidding? What is the time? Wow. You see, you don't really know how to respond now.
Well, it's interesting.
Yes.
Every 3rd person here wants to have a beer.
Well, it would be good with a cold beer, I agree, yes. And plenty of you are engaged, you're calm, now that's good, you're not very stressed. Now that's positive. The two of you which is stressed, maybe you should join the other for a beer, and maybe then you'll relax.
Yes, approximately 1 out of 4 are engaged. That is also quite interesting.
Yeah. And 3 of you are in heaven. We'll take that as a compliment. Oh, that's fun to see. A little shocking, but fun, yes. And now
So let's see what they're going to do after this seminar.
Because now we have talked a little bit about who you are, why are you here, what have you learned, what do you feel?
They learn the basics about how to use it.
So now we want an evaluation of us. What do you think of our demo? How useful has this been for you? Very useful, you would like to try it yourself. Useful because it gave you a couple of new ideas. It was okay, you see that this might actually change teaching. It was fun to see, but that was pretty much it. Or not very useful, you're going to teach as before. So this is a question maybe more based to the guys of you who were teaching. Have you understood the question? Now this is the question I'm really excited about. All right, let's run a vote. Wake up your iPods again. A, B, C, D, E, and then play. Well, that's not bad. Most of you think it's useful. It actually gave you a couple of new ideas. Yoo-hoo! We did good. Some of you are very useful. You would like to use it in your own teaching. And
maybe we should ask someone in this audience, do you have any comments? Is it somebody which don't want to be anonymous? Could give some feedback, discussion now. Let's discuss a bit.
Maybe we can hear something about these new ideas that you got.
So can you use it for a kind of metacognition in the sense of actually, rather than just treating it, I can't remember what I said. So I was asking if actually in a live teaching situation, whether it's actually the opportunity for helping students with the kind of ideas of metacognition, actually helping them learn how they learn, and actually exploring what's wrong with the questions, rather than, as it were, just being forced to answer them, and how an understanding of the question, an understanding of the subject might actually grow out of kind of critiquing the way that the teacher has used this technology to frame questions.
Interesting idea, definitely.
As I say, rather than just delivering the subject and using this as a way of kind of probing the subject, helping students probe how they learn.
Go up a level, yes? Yep. Very good idea. Yes?
Hello?
Hello.
I'm from a university in the UK. Slightly puzzled because we've had a system very, very similar to this for 6-7 years. A personal response system, which is quite widely used in the UK. Lots of the big conference centres have got them inbuilt. Primary schools use them, colleges use them. And we also have a web-based version of it, which we have used with mobile phones going into. So I'm struggling very slightly to see, apart from this is on iPods, to see how this is any different than we've had for quite a long time.
I think I'm going to give that to you. More technical expert.
This system doesn't work only on iPods. It works on any device which could read the HTML page. Meaning that those which has a modern mobile phone, they will usually just take the phone, enter a web address, store it as a bookmark, and that's it. And then they use it in any kind of course. And you could use this in on-site training. You could use it for distance learning if you want to do that. If you access the wireless network, it's free of charge. If you use the phone?
So, I mean, we use it widely for staff training, for all sorts of things, for training teachers, for things. But it's certainly something I'm very, very. I don't know if anybody else here is. Something I'm very, very familiar with and have used for years. So I'm just struggling to see how this is. New.
Because that is we didn't develop the first response system. They have been used since the 1970s. But I've been working with more commercial systems, and I was actually part of a team who implemented the first system in Scandinavia. And what I like about this system is the flexibility. You know, when I get here, when I bring out the response system, I can't touch my PowerPoint because it lies like a folio overboard. But when I do like this, I'm back to the PowerPoint. And it doesn't matter whether I use Word, PowerPoint, if I just read on the blackboard, PDFs, the response system is not linked to your presentation system. So it's incredibly flexible. A lot of the commercial systems are linked to PowerPoint. So you have to use PowerPoint or Word. But you have some system that has the flexibility, but it's rarely such a great flexibility and so easy to use. We have a motto in our project which, well, it's quite simple, stupid simple. It has to be very simple because when it starts getting complicated, the teachers won't use it. But what would be interesting to see, to get the name of the system you are using, yes? Maybe we can get some ideas from that. But it's a good point because we didn't develop the wheel once again, not at all. But we're trying to make it, because it has been used since 1970s and still it's not used everywhere. Although it's such a good idea and the students like it. So there is something we are not doing right. And one reason is that it's very expensive, commercial systems. This, it's web, it's free, and the students can use the phone they have in their pocket.
You got the money from European Commission. I expect that we'll just publish it for free use after the project.
Yep.
So it means that you could take it, go to your class, student which has a mobile phone, use it.
Or a PC.
You have to invest a bit on the wireless network, that's it. You have to invest a bit on the capacity in the wireless network. That is the additional cost. But it's you have to do it once.
Other comments, or should we do the last quiz? Yes?
Hi, I'm Christine Apple from The Walk. I just wanted to say, I think this is a really nice example of how technology can make pedagogical practice to come to reality. Because I think in my teaching, even if I had 100 students in the past, I would try to set questions, but I didn't get the answers.
No, exactly, yes.
So I think having this device in your hands may actually make students talk about the question and not something else, because they have to produce a vote. And I also think it might be a way of getting teachers who were not asking the questions to think about it. So it's a really nice example. I enjoyed the presentation. I thought it's a nice example of technologies being put in at the service of teacher training or making all the practices.
Thank you. That has been our goal.
It's also flexible in the sense that you could use it if you have a class with 100% penetration with laptops. Okay, use it on laptops then. But the mobile devices are much faster. Notice when we start this system, it takes you 2 or 3 seconds and you are ready to run. The usage of this system doesn't destroy our story.
Sorry?
The usage when we start this system, it takes me, you have to press 3 buttons and then we're running. We don't destroy the story, which every teacher is telling.
But I think your comment is very interesting, and our goal. I don't know anything about technology. I have a master's degree in social psychology, so actually I don't really belong here at all. So what I've been focusing all along, I wrote my master thesis about student response system, is learning. Because if you have a starting point that you start with the technology, how can this technology create learning? In my words, crap. You have to look at the other way. What are the needs? What do the students need? And the students are in huge groups and they want to participate, but they don't see how they can participate because they don't want to show themselves. So the teacher asks questions, the students want to answer them, but they don't dare. And the students aren't weird. 60% of us would rather die than talk out loud in front of people. Studies from social psychologists. So there is a need, and the student response system is built on top of that, not the other way around. And I think that's a key issue. Absolutely.
I love the project, and I would like to highlight that there's a little change in the way teachers have to teach. that is a positive challenge to be time effective, time efficient, and to be quick in the way they prepare the response after the voting.
Yes, exactly.
So it's a positive challenge, but there's a little change in the way they teach. That helps the learners.
Yeah, because now we have actually, based on all the positive feedback we got through this year, we have now implemented the response system as a regular part of some of the courses we have in Trondheim. So the students meet the response system every day. It's a project I'm coordinating, and we have 8 teachers involved. And they tell me what you're telling. Okay, I have to think in a different way, but they're so glad to get a challenge. To actually, because you don't quiz things that doesn't matter. You as a teacher have to say, okay, what are the core elements in this chapter, for instance? What do I know that the students have difficulties with? And you use the response system to get them to learn that. So it is challenging, yes, but it is fun. Definitely. Thank you for your response.
Well, we are moving towards the end, Gabrielle.
Yes,
we should finish.
Can I do one question? One vote?
One vote?
Yes. Is there time for one last vote? Okay.
And then
Thank you so much.
Go downstairs for this coffee beer.
I would just like to know, if you had the opportunity, would you like to use the response system? Because as long as the project is running, which is through December.
End of this year, yes.
End of this year, you may use it for free. So, find up your iPods, and we'll do the final vote. And here we have yes, no, don't know. There you go.
Press the wrong button.
What? If?
Excuse, I was going to stop it, but
he was going to pause it, but he stopped it. What did you say?
Maybe you already know the answer.
Yeah, there's problem of hiding from others. Yeah. So you said students.
Anonymity,
yeah.
Because sitting close to each other with a screen like this, being anonymous, it's for the teacher. But to the peers, have you ever noticed?
You know,
they are trying to do this.
No, they don't. And I'm actually interviewed the students about that. What is this anonymity that they are trying to? They don't care if the person next to them or right up or right down see it. What they care is that the entire class, they don't have to stand up and speak out. If the buddy here or there, although they don't know it.
And the teacher, especially.
And the teacher. So so that's the anonymity, that they don't have to speak out.
And really, those who really want to go on to do like this, they just vote and then
But it is an interesting question which we actually have asked the students, and they don't.
I was just going to say thank you also very much. I also enjoyed it. Coming from the world of language teaching, I also think it's the only place that you get quality, or the best quality, is at the last 5 minutes of questions, or is when you show them why something's wrong.
Yeah.
And that's when the learning takes place.
Yes,
I mean,
exactly.
For the most part, the vast majority of students don't want to raise their hand and think, am I the only one that doesn't know why it's not can do? So they don't ask, and then you get the essays back, and every single one's done it wrong, and you think, right, nobody understood me that day.
Yes,
but
exactly.
when you can actually get the feedback, I think, at the same time, and you can realize maybe half the class has understood and the other half hasn't, by the time you explain the reason why one's wrong, I mean, that's the point where they really have a aha moment, you know.
Yep.
So, and I would love to know in a class of, 60 students or even 30 students who's following and who's not. And you can see it, obviously, if you're watching their faces when you give the right answer. You also can tell who kind of is like, yeah, and the other's like, Right?
Yes.
So, I mean, it's also very helpful, I think, to see who you need to guide to, or you know, it's not as anonymous perhaps. In a class of 500 is different, but in a group of 20 salespeople and you're asking them what they think the most important aspects of what you've just explained a product is, I mean, I think it has quite a few things that people could get a lot of, especially for younger children.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we should stop and keep on the discussion during the coffee break, if you don't mind, because we are just late on the first schedule. So thank you very much.
If everyone was interested, we have brochures here. If you want to read some more.
So thank you very much.
Thank you.
While we are